going out there tonight?
Walt, you stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight? Hope everyone is doing well. All of you out there that will be catching it live with us tonight, those of you that will catch it later, we sure do appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody tuning in. As you can see, got my partner in crime back for tonight, Mr. Derek Jasper Walls. How's it going tonight, buddy?
Good, man. Been missing everybody.
Good. Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Let's go through our normal intro stuff, and then we will get into letting you go over our last expedition that you got there. First of all, like always, I'm going to ask everybody to hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. If you've already done it, tell your family and friends, tell others. We sure would appreciate it. Help us grow, guys. And we are also on Facebook. That's Mannimal Research on Facebook. You know you have a Facebook account, so head on over there and join and share some stuff with the group, guys. That's the only way we're going to learn about these things is people sharing what they know, what they've experienced. So yeah, do that for us. Tonight, guys, we have Mr. Michael coming to us from up in Minnesota. He's actually only like 60 miles from the Canadian border. So he's way on up there where it gets cold. And he's so far up there and out in the boonies that he does not have internet service out there. So he actually had to drive about 20 miles out to be able to talk to me on the phone. So you won't get to see his face tonight, but you'll get to hear his voice. And like always, guys, it's a live show, so ask the questions. But if you do have a question that you would like to ask, put it in all caps for us, guys. That helps us out, helps my buddy Walls over there see it real quick and get to it and get it to me. And it just helps out. So put those questions in all caps, guys. And again, another reminder, mannimalencountersatYahoo.com. Send us your encounter, guys. Does it just have to be Bigfoot? It could be anything weird, anything out in the woods, dog man, UFOs, paranormal. We talk about it all things creepy. So if you have an encounter, something weird that's happened to you, send it over to mannimalencountersatYahoo.com and we'll get those shared for you. All right. All of that being said, buddy, I know a lot of people out there are wanting to hear about what happened on this last trip. We talked it up pretty good. We got a lot of rain. It was a hurricane or something come through, so a lot of y'all got rained out, had to leave, but some interesting stuff did happen. So walk us through that, buddy.
Well, I left out work. I was running late, but our buddy John and Greg and Kelsey they met up, and we were actually going to the lady's property, but then midweek it all got changed because the people that's buying it got sick real bad. So I had to scramble to try to find a spot. Well, I got to give kudos to Greg. I said, hey man, I'm at work. See what you can do while you're off right now. And he came up with the Manners. I actually found the Manners property owner. Hollered at him on Facebook. Asked me if we had permission to go up there. Got the permission. So I made the call and said, you know what? We're going to the Manor. We're going to stay up there. We're going to do paranormal and Bigfoot. And that's when the night went crazy. They got up there. Fortunately, John's truck got stuck. Some in a big old hill. But they during the time that they were getting him out, a few people came up, tried to help out and everything. Actually found um, one person that was there to help him. Basically, was in school with one of the guys that did the murder, and he actually sat behind him in school. So everybody there knows about these people. So that was kind of cool and kind of eerie. Before I got there, John, they all claimed they were hearing tree knocks. At when I finally got up there and got to them, I mean, I
Now,
didn't.
hold on, Wallace.
Yeah.
Well, let's give a little bit of a backstory real quick. You
Okay.
said a couple of the guys that came up, one of them actually sat behind the guy in school and all this, but the guys that he's talking about was, Corpsewood Manor is known for being haunted. It's a very haunted
Mhm.
place. A couple of men moved down from, I believe, Chicago. I'm not sure. Up north, they moved down. A couple of men that lived together. They moved down. They bought some land in North Georgia and built just this big, extravagant house. And they named it Corpsewood Manor, if I
Mhm.
remember right. They are the ones that named it Corpsewood Manor because they were into satanic stuff and they were just odd guys. And the long and short of it is somebody in the area heard that there was a lot of money in the house, got some people together and broke in and killed the people, killed the two men. So it's supposed
Yep.
to be haunted. So those are the guys that you're talking about right now. Go ahead, take it from there.
Yeah. The gentleman that was helping them, the guys that did the murder, basically sat behind him in school, and then as the night went on, I finally got there. We were waiting for the tow truck. Got there. I was waiting. I did get an eerie feeling for a little bit. We went up the road just a little bit, trying to check out, see if there's any areas, where we can still, you know, camp out. There really ain't none around there. Well, behold, there's a Jeep come flying up the trail. And I mean, a nice jacked up Jeep, big old winch and everything, come lights blaring. And we're like, well, it looks like a tow truck. And I said, no, that's going too fast. I'm thinking in my head, a tow truck. Now these guys from the tow company brought up the Jeep, hooked up to him, pulled him out with a winch. Matter of a few minutes, pulled him out. And they knew exactly where he was at. Got there as we was waiting. I mean, it pulled out, and then they asked us, what was you guys want? I said, well, we're with Mannimal. We actually looked for Bigfoot. Go, think of that, and we do have paranormal on the side. And he said, oh yeah, the place is haunted like crazy. I said, okay, cool. And then when I said we were out here, we're going to camp, we talked to permission to, and this is what verified our permission for the owner. We said we got permission by the owner, and the guy mentioned his name. We didn't tell him his name. He mentioned his name right off the bat to Greg and me and John, and I was like, that right there confirmed that you was talking to the owner, which is cool. So at that night, we home. We were sitting there talking, and we said, "Yeah, we're here." I kind of hesitated because since we had the military crap, but I said we're looking for Bigfoot without hesitating. Without hesitating, these guys were two brothers. The oldest brother comes out. He said, "Yeah, he's back there." Said we've seen footprints in the pond that's back there that's dried up, but it's muddy. And he pointed 13, 14 foot long. I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Oh yeah, he's back there. Yeah, he's back. We believe." I said, "Dude, that's awesome." So as we kept talking and everything, and they said, "Y'all, you know what happened up here, right?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, we know the guys that own the place were murdered." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's our dad." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, our dad. He's the one he's still alive. He's been serving for 30 something years, life sentences." I was like, "Your father was one of the guys that came up here." He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "We're the brothers, and the name of the tow company is the name of the last name of the father." So it was pretty interesting that night. So we flipped the switch, we changed sites, and we went up to one of our old sites. Got up there and came to knowing where our actually first investigation is actually shut off from us camping now. completely cut off. The backside where we was at, where we walked up, all that's cut off.
Wait
Go
a
ahead.
minute, Walls. Before, while y'all were waiting on the tow truck, y'all heard something yourself, didn't you?
We did hear something down like because there was a gut. I'm not gonna say a. It was a, you're up on a ridge. You got the trails. We're up on the road, and then you got the gully right here. But you could see down there. But something. It sounded like something was getting thrown. Like,
Didn't y'all hear
thrown.
some knocks?
They heard the knocks before I got there. Yes, they were hearing knocks
You
before I
didn't
got
hear
there.
them. Okay.
No, I didn't get there, and I was trying to rush to get there, but they did hear a few knocks. When I got there, I did get an eerie feeling like how we usually get the hair stand up my back, like something's watching, like something is there. But I had to put it off as okay. We are close to the manor. It is, it is haunted. I believe it. I felt it. I don't know if it could have been both, but yeah, the guys, the two brothers, I mean, they straight up didn't hesitate when I said something about Bigfoot. Yeah, he's back there. He's in these woods. We believe it. We found the footprints. We've seen them. I'm like, holy crap. I said, this is awesome. But yeah, then once we got out, we got hooked up and took off to other spots. We're still planning. I'm still going to plan. The lady, Miss Eve, she is going to get back with us when the owners are feeling better and everything. And hopefully we're going to go back and actually be on her property and search around. And then we're going to go, we'll walk up there to the pond and try to find it up there. And they said, just give them a call. They said they would be happy to come up there and actually take us up there and show us and actually do an interview with them and everything. And I was like, cool. I said, that'd be great. So,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The Suns actually offered to do an interview with us, didn't they?
yeah. They said we'll do it coming up there.
Okay.
Yeah. We had, when we got over to our other spot, which is on location, which is our first ever spot, which we got there and I was excited in a way, except for really wanted to do a live with the guys because we had signal up there on where the manor was at. We did have signal. So I wanted to do it live, but we didn't get a chance to. It just seemed like everything kind of went like, hey, you didn't need to be here anyways, kind of feeling. So when we got up to our other spot, I took off walking down, wanted to go walking to our spot where we first actually had our encounters and everything, and got there and it's closed off. It's not closed off, but you can't camp there now. Big old sign says cannot camp. I was like, okay, well, as we're walking to this before that night, I hear the bullfrogs on the lake, and it's all grown up. It looks totally different from our pictures, man. I'm telling you, totally different feel. So you hear the bullfrogs, and we get halfway down the curve. There's a curve, and right there's where our spot's at. Well, Greg was with me. It was me and Greg, and I instinctively heard three separate grunts, and I'm talking about ape style, ugh, ugh, and it was three different spots. And I said, I mean, froze in my tracks. If it was scared enough, it could have probably scared anybody pooping their pants. But it was that crazy, and I was like, okay, that's not a frog. That can't be a frog. That does not sound like a frog because you can still hear the bullfrogs, croaking. So we backed out. We said, all right, we backed out. I said, look, I'm back. I'm missing one of the other guys with us. I am back. If you recognize me, you recognize my smell, we're here. We're not here to hurt you. So we got back to the camp, chilled for a little while, got sleep, went up next morning. Well, you remember the muddy spot? It was real muddy. We couldn't get through it to go up the backside. Well, we took the truck, all of us. Jen was actually with me. Jen, it was Jen, Greg, me, and Jaden. We was all together. So we took off. We was going to go down that little trail and go up the backside. It's blocked off by a big old giant stone now. Blocked off. And I'm like,
wow, that's a good spot back there, man.
Hey, that's not the best of it. You know, the main road is blocked off on further past the spot. Now, John came up with a great thing. He said, "You know what? Why are they closing it off? Why are they keeping this closed?" And you know, what are they trying to hide? And I heard those grunts the night before. And that's where same spot we got hits and thermal, and I'm excited to go back. um, so during the next day, I think we were doing it for a day and then waiting for Kenneth and them to get up there, and went and met them at Walmart, got some burgers, cooked lunch, and right after lunch, pretty much all hell broke loose because it was started sprinkling, raining, pouring down wind, high winds. Somehow this tropical storm from the Gulf shot straight up to where we was at. Now, all this could be coincidence. I'm thinking something either you could have been spiritual in the world and say, look, we need to keep these guys from doing investigations, you know, anything. It just seemed so odd how everything just planned out. Cause I mean, it was weird.
Yeah, Mother Nature can be a you know what.
Yeah. Kenneth and Greg went and explored. When I left later on. I left probably when it just started pouring down because I had the girls and everything. I had Jen and Jaden, and John was sleeping. Couldn't really do much. Couldn't do anything. So it was pretty much dead in the water. But it calmed down a little bit. Craig and I think John went with them too. They went down to the rock area and they got a musty smell, like everybody talks about, like a marking the territory smell. And you have the lake over here, and you have the it looks like a dried up mud hole over here. But they could have sworn they saw possibly a nest. Do you think they blocked off the areas because of the females? And you know that hits on what John was talking about. Do you think?
Now was it blocked? Was it blocked by humans, or was it blocked by?
I think it was
else?
blocked by the. I think it's blocked by the Rangers. I think they put machinery in there.
The Rangers.
Yeah, they blocked it off because
they don't want you going into that area.
Right, and the main road that goes up and comes back around the other side, they got a brand new gate on it, blocking it off, so you can't go no further past that area. You know where we had the issue with the hiker disappearing? We had the ambulance and everything flying by, but that's blocked off. So what are they trying to hide? What are they trying to hide?
Yeah,
something's eerie. Something is up.
It's kind of like they're trying to keep you from going into a certain area.
I'm telling you, it was.
yeah.
I'm ready to go back.
The weather came through and prevented y'all from really having a good investigation. Is what it sounds like.
It definitely killed it.
We've got our guest on hold for about 19 minutes now. So, did anything else happen, or do we need to go ahead and bring Michael on?
That was about it, man. That was pretty much it. I mean, everything kind of happened Friday night, and then that was it. And the rain kind of it killed us. I mean, a bunch of great guys that we got to meet. John, great person.
I mean, that was
so.
It was definitely interesting about that first night meeting those guys. Man, that some people believe in coincidences and some don't. So I don't know.
Dude, I'm telling you.
All right, man.
Let's bring our man on.
All that being said, we'll go ahead and bring our guest on. Like we talked a little bit tonight before we got into all that was we got Michael on tonight. Michael is up in Minnesota, very close to the Canadian line, the Canada line, and Michael's had some really cool stuff going on up there, and he's been on hold long enough, so we're gonna go ahead and bring him on. if you're ready, buddy. Michael, what's going on?
Yep.
Just sitting here watching the beautiful night here. It turned out to be a great day.
Very cool. Very cool. Tell our audience, if you would, please, where exactly you're located.
I'm actually up in northern Minnesota. I'd say probably about 90 miles northwest of Duluth. So I'm not far from the Canadian border.
You said about 60 miles, right?
About 60 miles roughly, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, before we get into it, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for taking the time to come on. We've had you scheduled for a while now and had to reschedule once or twice, but I'm glad we finally got it done, and I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Good deal. I want to ask our audience real quick. You guys send us a message. Type us out a message over there that if you can hear Michael, just let us know if you can hear him. Okay, I think that you can. But anyway, Michael, how long have you been into this topic? And tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do up there and what got you started in the subject of Bigfoot.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, I've been into this for over 35 years. I live up in northern. I've worked construction, or not construction, but welding. I've been a welder most of my life. So that's what I do with money. But yeah, I got into this back in the early 70s. I actually seen one off my deer stand when I was hunting. And I really didn't know much about it, other than this thing came through the woods and walked out in front of me. And it looked historic. I mean, I'm just like, what in the heck am I looking at, And it stood there for probably seemed like 10 minutes. I figured that something was up. You knew I was there, but I didn't know where I was. I could smell it. The smell was horrible. It looked more man-like, and it wasn't until I made a noise and it turned and looked at me. And then it took 2 steps and it was gone. And we figured later where it was standing, it had to be in a range of about 7 feet tall. That was in the early 70s, so.
Okay, were you a youngster when this happened? You don't have to tell your age, but.
I was about 14, 15 years old.
Okay, what was your knowledge of them? Did you know right away what it was, and could you describe what you saw?
No clue whatsoever what it was. What I seen, first of all, I heard something coming through the woods, and it was making like a chirping noise. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I could see it moving. I wasn't sure what it was, if it was a deer or a moose or something. And until it got closer, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? And, after the incident, I understand, and I got out of the woods and met up with my dad, and I told him what had happened. And my dad said, oh, you're crazy, you're seeing things or whatever. And, it wasn't until sometime later that I got educated on what I did see. By some of the old loggers up here, the old guys that used to log back in the 40s and 50s up here, that actually had same thing, sightings where they'd seen these things out in the woods. Of course, the years, just leading up and doing research, and I've learned quite a bit. I'd seen 3 structures out in the woods. I had where 2 of them were doing a mumble talk back and forth, and I was in the middle. That was really cool. I was in an area by myself, so I was a little hesitant to walk towards the noise because I was back in 6 miles. And like I said, I was all by myself, and I was checking out an area for hunting. That happened, that was about 4 years ago. That was really cool, listening to the samurai chatter, if you want to call it. Yeah, I've had stuff thrown at me. I've had infrasound done on me twice where I felt like I was having a heart attack, a panic attack. that's another subject, infrasound. I know a couple other researchers, same thing. That's too much on there.
Are you there?
Your pardon?
Okay. There you are. There you are.
I'm up on the Continental Divide. I'm overlooking a lake right now. So yeah, it's cell phone reception up there is hit and miss.
Okay, yeah, you're coming in good, coming in good right there. So, man, it sounds like you've experienced. So when you had that sighting, I mean, is that what sparked your interest and made you decide that you wanted to look into these things a little more?
Not at first. It wasn't until a few years later that, like I say, I started learning more about all this. And I actually seen one crossing the lake in the winter on the ice.
So how many sightings have you had, Michael?
3.
Okay, so was that your next sighting, the one lake?
Yes.
That's about it, if you don't mind.
Well, my parents had property up on this lake where I'm living now. And it's kind of a remote lake, and I'd stay up there quite a bit. My ritual was going out in the morning, and I had a hole cut in the ice. I'd get water for doing dishes or taking a bath or whatever, and I'd sit there and with a cup of coffee and watch the sun come up. Well, this thing came out of the north side of the lake, walked along the shoreline on the ice, and then it walked for probably about a block and a half, and then it went back into the woods again. But it was two-legged. I've seen bears walk on 2 legs, but not for more than 20 feet. This walked for a block and a half, and it took it minutes, literally minutes to walk that distance. It was moving that fast. It was, okay, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to start researching this more.
Now, could you tell if it was a male or a female?
No, I could not. It was probably the distance of a half a block away.
Okay. And how big or how tall, estimating, would you say it was?
Oh, if I were to guess, probably in the range of about 6.5 to 7 feet.
What color was it? Okay, I don't remember if I asked you your first one. What color was it?
That was dark too.
Okay, it's dark, so like a dark brown, almost black, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And
okay.
I mean, it was 20 feet away from me. Otherwise, a moose walking away from you on a trail will look like a human walking.
Really?
I don't know if you've ever seen a big moose walking down a trail, but from the back end of it, looking at the back of a moose, they almost look like a person walking. And
wow.
that's the first thing my dad said, well, you probably had a moose come in there. And I said, no, it's 20 feet away. It's looking at me. I know the difference between a moose and this thing,
So that first one you saw was 20 feet away from you?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You had to have got some just amazing detail.
It had a human-like face. It was, that's where I have controversy on some of these pictures I've seen. People show me pictures. And yeah, I'm not saying they all look the same, but what I seen up close was more man-like, almost like prehistoric type of man. Yeah, but it wasn't anything, human as far as I know.
So kind of like a Neanderthal type?
Yes. That's when I started checking in the theories that they might have crossed the land bridge from Europe.
Yeah.
Back when they were able to. One of my teammates believes they're a primate. Him and I disagree on that.
So if your teammate believes that they're a primate and you disagree, what do you think? Okay.
They primarily got out of Europe because modern man was evolving and the competition was too much. They got out of there. There was competition for food, everything else.
Yeah, I can respect that. Yeah, that sounds like a good opinion. This thing, man, from 20 feet away, looking right at you, did you get any kind of, did you sense any type of aggression? Or I know it would be speculation, obviously, but what kind of sense did you get from him?
Actually, disbelief. This area that we were in was actually a game reserve for 50 years. I mean, you opened it up to public hunting. Nobody knew about it but my dad and his buddies. So you got to realize that fall when we went in there, we were seeing deer and moose. We were seeing all kinds of wildlife that had never seen human beings before. So this thing was basically moving, and I know where it was going now. I know where they actually live up here in the woods. But this thing was moving to where it was living, and it crossed one of my shooting lanes, and it stood there going, well, what's this? This wasn't here 3 days ago. Somebody come in here and opened up this shooting lane, and it was just standing there, kind of like scratching its head. It wasn't scratching its head, but it was trying to figure out what's going on here, what's going on here. And it's looking around, and it could sense me there. In the other spectrum, I'm sitting there with my mouth wide open going, what am I looking at? It's not a hunter. It's not carrying a gun. It's not wearing red. It's dark. It's big. It's just, prehistoric looking. I mean, I was just, I don't know if I was in shock or something, maybe.
But you didn't get any sense of aggression from him. I keep saying him. Do you know if it was a he or she?
It was a male.
And did you see genitalia?
No.
Okay. So what led you to believe it was a male?
That was just my hunch. I did not see breasts on it or anything like that either.
Okay. Okay. Fair. Yeah. Okay.
But, like I say, once I made a noise, it looked straight at me, and it just stared at me for, I don't know how long it was, and then turned, and like 3 steps it was gone.
So how long, a rough estimate, is this encounter is fascinating to me. This is one of the more interesting ones that I've heard personally. It's certainly one of the closer ones that I've heard. That's why I keep asking the questions. And and I forgot where I was going.
Well, I was going to say, I've researched this area for over 35 years, and I've had more than one encounter in this area, not with just a sighting, but with vocalizations, tree knocking. 2016, I was approached by NPR News. They wanted to do a story and a video, so I took them back in this area. We did get a tree knock, but that was about it. A week later, I was approached by Animal Planet. They hired me out to do all the guide work for the show, Finding Bigfoot, the Reamer show, Home of Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2016. So I took not the cast members, but the producers out in the field for a week to different locations. We ended up doing the opening night show. I was on that show in the location where I had my first sighting. Knock. We had something moving around us in the woods. As far north, once they sense you, they get out of there. Once they figure out what you are, they get out of there. They don't hang around for a half an hour. And one of the cameramen went back to where we had our base camp. He was being paralleled on his way back. And this guy was freaking out because we had 2 rated radios. So this guy was freaking out. But they didn't put that on the show, unfortunately. That was probably the best part.
So you were on that episode?
I was on that episode, Reamer, along with Abe Del Rio, shortly before the show aired, or before we did the show. I was asked to join the Minnesota Bigfoot research team, so I've been a team member since 2016. And we've done quite a bit of videos. You can see them on the Minnesota Bigfoot research team TV, or actually YouTube. I believe there's some videos on there. The things with the videos we do, they're not edited, they're raw. Sometimes the audio doesn't come in good. We had 2 of them do Ohio on the Canadian border. I mean, that was so cool. One was to the west and one answered to the east. We could hear, and then we started getting stuff thrown at us, branches and rocks thrown at us. That was a cool night.
I bet. So you are a part. What group are you a part of right now?
Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to be having our Bigfoot conference in Grand Rapids, Minnesota in October.
Yeah, I know that you've been busy with that, and I was going to give you a chance to plug all of that later. If you want to go ahead and plug it all, go ahead.
No, that you can look up the date and everything and who's going to be there. That's in October. I'm not sure which weekend. In fact, I have to team about that. But yeah, last year was very cool. This year we're Dr. Malcolm or whatever, he's going to be there. Cliff will be there again. I'm not sure exactly who else is going to be there. But I worked with Cliff before.
Oh, wow.
He's a great guy. Renee, Bobo, Matt Moneymaker, I know them guys. I've never met Milgram, but I've talked to him on the phone. We've talked about castings. I did some castings up here, snow tracks in the winter. And,
very cool. Very cool. Are there any other, is there anything else that we might have seen you on television-wise?
Oh, yeah. That's my third encounter, my third. So last July, he talked me into taking these group of young men out. They wanted to do a video. So it was called Gas and No Brakes, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So we take them out in the field. We have this young man by the name of Dylan who just graduated high school. His parents paid for us to take him out, from what I understand. Nice young kid. But yeah, we take these film guys out, and Abe's demonstrating how to do wood knocks and how to do calls. And Dylan and I are just kind of standing there watching all this. Yeah, okay, cool. No, we're not going to see nothing. I look up the trail. Abe and the film guys are off into the woods, about 10 feet doing a tree knock. I look up the trail, and this one stepped out on the trail. Started sidestepping back and forth. Young man Dylan, who was standing next to me, he looked up and seen the same thing. He starts freaking out. Abe and those guys, I yell, they come running out to the trail. Of course, it backstepped into the woods and was gone again. That was cool. That was probably at about 40 feet away, and this was dark, big and dark. And
how long ago was this sighting?
This was last July. So anyhow, the show aired on YouTube. They kind of made a joke out of it because I do an imitation of a mumble talk, and they were kind of repeating the mumble talk over and over and over and over and over again, which kind of made it into a joke. But we did have over 3 million views on that.
Wow! So did you get the actual Bigfoot on film?
No, that's the sad thing because Abe's never seen one.
Yeah.
He's the founder of the team and that. And these guys, Andrew, I met him. He's a nice guy. I've been talking to him lately. The leader of their film deal. Yeah, I mean, they would have loved to see this. I mean, they're 10 feet in the woods, and this young kid and I. And then when we were walking out, we were being followed. You could hear this thing walking through the woods, paralleling us out. And we were in probably 3 miles. We walked in. We got about to the halfway point, and the film crew said, you know what, we just want to get out. And I mean, they were sidestepping it. I couldn't even keep them going. But yeah, that was cool. You know, when you least expect to see something is when you usually see it.
Isn't that how it goes?
Yep. I mean, I know people that go out in the woods and they purposely go and try to find these. The minute you step out of your vehicle and you walk in the woods, they know you're there. If they want you to see them, it's on their terms. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see one. It's going to be by accident.
I agree with you. And I've had, since I've been doing this a couple years now, I've had more than a couple people ask me, just from seeing my car and Bigfoot stickers and stuff, what's the best way? to see one of these things. And my answer to them then and it is now is just go camping. Go camping and just do or your regular thing. Don't go out planning no big expedition, going through the woods with all kind of gear trying to find them, because that's just not going to work, in my opinion. If you want to see one of these things, go camping and let them come check you out.
Yeah, I mean the only other time we had any big response, and this is kind of weird too. They even set up 2 different groups to go out with us out of Reamer, and out of the groups, I think it was 4 young ladies, and we're standing there. Bill, another team member of mine who's a Native American up on the reservation, him and I are going, okay, well, something might happen. All of a sudden, we started getting tree knocks, and we started getting this mumble talk. And I'm going, I don't believe this. I don't believe this is happening. Because we had like 9 people with us. And the only thing I could think of is that they were juveniles, and they were interested in the females that we had with us. They were curious. But needless to say, the people we took out were overjoyed. They're going, oh my God, I can't believe we heard what we heard tonight, all this. And I'm thinking, yeah, I can't say anything either with the amount of people we had. Oh, it's crazy. You never would have expected something like that.
Yeah. So you've been doing this stuff for many years now. One thing I'm curious about, it seems like everyone wants to hear the scary encounter, the terrifying encounter, and all that stuff. And it's been my experience that there's just not as many of those out there as people think. But my question to you is, have you ever experienced a scary encounter, a time where you thought that you were in danger or the people that you were with was in danger?
No, I have never had. I've been followed. I basically grew up with a clan of them where I hunt up there or used to hunt. I believe I grew up with them throughout the years, who I am. They're not bothered by me. But the only problem I did have was after I brought that film crew in there, did the film for Finding Bigfoot. That fall, I went in there deer hunting, and I had stuff thrown at me when I was sitting in there in the dark. And once it got daylight, it quit. But then I started getting sick, like I was having a heart attack. I got off the stand. I walked out to the tee in the trail, and I immediately felt fine. I went back in there half an hour later, and I started having panic attacks. I never have panic attacks. That is classic infrasound. They were mad at me. They were punishing me. I think they wanted me out of there. But no, I've never ever felt threatened or fear for my life or anything like that. Never.
But you do feel like there's been at least once or a couple of times where you've been hit with infrasound.
Yes, twice. One was a fear of dread. I couldn't get out of the area fast enough, and that's not very far from where I had tree knocks with a group of people that talked me about, and I found snow tracks in that same area. Well, there again, this area, I believe it was islands, a river and a bunch of islands with swamp. I believe they were probably living on these islands and had young ones and simply wanted me out of there. Well, they infrasounded me, so when they worked, I got out of there.
Now, in your 3 actual visual sightings, I know that you said you smelt that musky, like a really bad smell at least once. Have you smelt the smell every time you've seen one?
No, but I've smelt it out in the woods when I've been there.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that they can control that scent? Is it a defense mechanism like a skunk maybe? What do you think the smell is?
I'm not sure, but if anything, if they wanted to be stealth and not be seen or heard, stinking like that definitely would give them away.
Exactly. We talked about that on the last show too, that these things are so eluding for trees, and if they smell that bad all the time, we would have seen them more, you would think.
Well, they're there. There's more of them out there than we believe. I got to watch a dash cam video from a sheriff up here. This was a couple of years ago, and he asked me what I thought I'd seen, and I said, I know exactly what I'm looking at. Can I have a copy of the video? And he said, no, we can't do that. Also went on another report. We had a DNR official that was on a river up here doing a water clarity test, and he was chased off the site by one. We interviewed him. We spent the night out there. I actually think I seen one across the river. I wasn't sure. I couldn't bet money on it. But then we could hear it. We got what we call parabolic ear. It's a dish with microphones and that. And
yeah, parabolic microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, we could actually hear one walking on the trail ahead of us. You could tell it was bipedal, and you could hear it walk from the grass to the gravel. And a look or two behind it. That was a very interesting night. We had to give up the search because there was one heck of a storm that came in that night. They had like 50, 60 mile an hour winds. We were lucky to even get out of the woods in one piece. That was bad.
I got a question from one of our group members, a Mannimal research member, Mr. John, wanted to know in regard to the infrasound. He said, in each case, was there a howl associated with your infrasound, or did you hear anything when you were here with infrasound?
Nothing. The second time, like I say, I had rocks and sticks thrown at me, and I could hear it moving around. There was like a beaver dam, 50 yards. I could hear it moving around in the water, and then come out of the water, and then all of a sudden I started getting branches and rocks thrown at me. They weren't, at that point, it was no threat because they weren't coming close to me. They were landing around me. And then as soon as it got daylight, there was no sign or no warning or nothing. I just started feeling sick. There was no vocalization or anything like that. It's kind of weird. Excuse me. So, yeah. And then, like I say, once I got out of that area, I felt fine. I sat down for half an hour. I walked back in there, and I started getting the feeling of, what the heck did I say? Not dread, but anyways, I started not feeling well again. And
Yeah.
I sat the day out there. Anxiety attacks. That's what I was getting, anxiety attacks.
So the only time in your life you've ever had panic or anxiety attacks is you've associated with infrasound.
I've never had a panic attack in my life.
Other than these?
Yes.
Wow.
And my team member, Abe, I wasn't with that weekend. They were up. I'm trying to think of the name of the lake. We don't like to give out locations, but this was west of Grand Rapids. He was in there with a guy and his wife. They were fishing guides. They had seen one and took pictures of it. And Abe had the same thing happen to him. Felt like he was having a heart attack. They actually took him into the hospital and he was fine. Yeah, if they want you out of an area, they're going to get you out of there. They don't necessarily have to be mean to do it, as far as physical or anything like that.
Yeah. Now just going over some of the classic, signs that people say that they've experienced, it's the smell, infrasound. You've experienced that. What about having objects thrown at you? Have you had rocks and sticks and stuff thrown at you as you camp?
Never camping. Like I say, just when I went back into that area after we did the television show, I was back on my stand and I had stuff thrown at me. And then shortly after that, infrasound started. So, yeah, but prior to that, I've heard vocalizations, I've heard different noises, and I've been in the woods my whole life. I know pretty much what animals are there and what kind of sounds they.
Okay.
Like the grunt sound or the I've heard like a I mean, I've had two of them do that. I was back in that same area. I was clearing out 50 feet of trail. It was early in the fall. Everything was pretty green and thick. You couldn't see anything. I told my buddies, I said, I got to get up here and clean this trail out. if I'm not back by 7:00, you know where I'm at. And it's 6 miles in from a highway. So I was in on my four-wheeler. I got to that point in the trail, got off the four-wheeler, was going to get the chainsaw out, and that's when I heard the vocalization. And it started out as one, and then I heard the other one start in, and within the course of a half an hour, the two of them were together. And I couldn't see them, and I could hear them. And my first thought was I should walk in there. But I'm thinking, no, I'm back here all by myself, you know. I don't know what would happen. Like, I'll play it smart. I'm going to stay right where I'm at. Well, then I quit. I didn't hear anything else the rest of the time I was in there. But that was very cool. To actually hear that mumble talk.
Okay, I got a what I think is a really good question from one of our regulars, Mr. Patrick Vaughn. He wants to know. He said, "What, I guess, if any, unmanned experiments does he run for the collection of behavioral or observations or evidence?"
Have I done?
Yeah, have you ever done any unmanned experience to collect evidence?
No. Quite honest with you, I don't collect a lot of stuff. Maybe some casts, but you know, you can actually have a video of something standing 10 feet away from you, and they'd say it was fake. So I mean, what's the point?
Exactly. Exactly.
What's the point?
Yeah, I think he's referring to more commonly is like leaving a recorder out overnight to try to catch sounds, what actually goes on in the woods when no one's there. And another unmanned thing that we've done is we have put out a tent before away from us and leave a recorder in it, and I call it the empty tent experiment. So nothing like that you've ever tried?
I'm going to do some things this fall. I'm going to buy a trail cam. Where I'm at back there, believe it or not, I can get cell service. So they have these new trail cams that are out, and you can actually watch live video or whatever right off your phone or your computer. My son and I are checking into those. I want to get 3 or 4 of them and put them up around the area and see what, you know, regardless of what's coming in there for game or whatever. The only other thing I've ever done is I used to guide for bear hunting. So when we would put the bait pits, we would rake up the ground so we could see tracks, how big the bear was. I've done that on a few of the trails up there where I've actually found deer, dead deer. And it was kind of amazing because the only thing left would be just a few bones. The back leg bones were snapped where a wolf would bite them and you'd see teeth marks. There was no teeth marks. This whatever killed them snapped their back legs. And so I did the areas on the trails where these deer were going, hopefully to get some foot impression. But they're too smart for that. They're smart. You put something up in an area, they know it's there.
Is that why you think that we haven't had a whole lot of success with trail cams?
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to realize you're in their area. So if somebody puts a pop can in your backyard or a bag, you're going to notice it. Mm-hmm. Or you're going to hear somebody coming in there. Like I tell the guys, we'll go in there and we do a video of it's more educational of what we do and how we. I know where they are back there. They're in the cedars. That's where they live. There's hardly any bugs. The cedars are a natural deterrent for bugs. I've had more evidence I've found in the cedar areas than anywhere else, and they winter in that area. They don't migrate like a lot of people think, because I found snow tracks. Yeah, if I went back in there by myself, say a ghillie suit or a camouflage blind, and sat in there all day and all night, and the next day, I got a good chance of seeing one. Because I'm going to be quiet, I'm going to be stealth, and I'm not going to make a lot of noise. A lot of people make a mistake when they go in and they look for Bigfoot. They'll slam their car doors and they go 10 feet from their car and expect to see something. No. You get an area planned out where you want to go, you park and you walk a mile, 2 miles to this area, and when you walk it, you're quiet. You don't walk in a group, you walk by yourself, and you go from tree to tree and kind of camouflage yourself in so you're not out in the open. That is your best chance also getting tree knocks because they're not sure what's going on. You're not doing the normal that people do by making a lot of noise. So I've had better luck doing that as far as getting tree knocks, and stuff like that going than you just
Yeah, so you've had better luck with the tree knocks. What about calls? Do you guys do any calls?
I didn't do many game and Miller had it. And this is funny. 2 weeks ago, I was kind of.
Hey, Michael, you're breaking up just a little bit. That last little bit that you said was staticky.
Okay, can you hear me better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, Abe was up 2 weeks ago, and we went out to the same location where we did the filming. Where he was bored. I said, "Okay, well, this was like 11 o'clock at night. We got out there, and we pulled into this area, and we just unloaded our equipment. And we weren't there 5 minutes. We heard 4 knocks coming from the east, and they were about probably, I'd say, half a block away. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I just said, I just heard 4 knocks. Did you? And he goes, yeah. It was less than 10, but nothing. I thought I heard something walking to the south of us, but, just briefly. But we never got anything else after that. We sat out there, I think, till 2 in the morning. But I've never had 4 knocks. It's usually 1 to 2 knocks. Never 4. That was really weird. Neither one of us could explain it. But Abe said he did hear 5 knocks once when he was out doing overnight. But I've never heard more than 2 knocks.
Do you believe the number of knocks mean certain different things? Like 2 knocks means one thing, 1 knock means something, 3 knocks might mean something else.
Well, basically, a good experience I had was late in the fall. I was muzzle loading, me and a friend of mine, and I heard 2 knocks to the south of me. And I thought, okay, it's weird. Somebody pounding on a tree, pounding nails or something. Why would they be doing that? It's during hunting. And the day was absolutely quiet. I shot a deer. I gutted it out, left the gut pile. Well, then I heard 2 more knocks coming from the west. Yeah, my buddy, and he said, "Did you hear somebody pounding nails?" I said, "Yeah, somebody's in here banging on trees." This was a few years ago. This is before I hadn't heard too many tree knocks at that point, so I wasn't sure what it was. But we got out to where we had parked, and we were the only tire tracks. We were the only vehicle in there. It was snow on the ground. There was nobody else in there. I went back out there the next day, and that gut pile was completely gone. Everything was cleaned up. There was nothing. I mean, normally gut pile later for a week, 4 days, 5 days. But that time of year, the bears are in hibernation.
And I bet it wasn't dragged off, or there wasn't any remains left anywhere. I bet it was almost like something picked it all up and walked off with it, right?
Well, yeah, the lungs and everything, it's all protein.
Yeah.
It's all protein. That's what they love. The guts, everything, all protein. I mean, if I was starving out in the woods and hadn't eaten in a week, that's the first thing I would eat. That's where all your protein's coming from.
Yeah.
So
we had a guest on our Thursday show, and he actually had been on an episode of Finding Bigfoot as well. So a lot of similarities between you two. But he had experienced something similar too, where with the gut pile, and he had talked about normally if a cat it would look like everywhere, but it almost looks like something just thing up and walked off with it, and that's what you're describing.
Yeah, I mean, the bears are hibernating. There was, no. I mean, I looked for tracks. There really wasn't a lot of snow on the ground, so it was hard to see anything. But that's another thing that happened too. I forgot all about. I was going into my deer stand on opening morning, and I got climbed up inside of it, which is about 6 feet up in the air. and there was a dead rabbit laying in my stand. And I'm going, okay. First thing I thought, bobcat, something killed it and brought it up there. So I brought it back with me at the end of the day. And a friend of mine who was up, he spun it out and he said, there's no teeth marks, there's no claw marks in this. I go, what? He goes, there's no teeth marks or claw marks. Something broke its neck.
Hmm.
And the only thing I could think of is it left it as a gift.
I could see
That's
that.
the only thing I could think of.
I could see that.
So, I mean, I have no other, no other explanation to why that was in there. And then there was no physical. It was just strange. One of those strange things.
Yeah. Well, all right, we've gone over an hour now. Before we let you go, Michael, do you want to give a shout out to anybody or plug your event that you got coming up and your group out there?
Well, it's Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. You can look us up. We have some videos. We'll have information there about the conference. It'll be coming up more. Also, Reamer, second weekend in July. Reamer has a Reamer Days, Bigfoot Days. We'll be there for that. I don't know if we're planning on taking some people out on overnights or not. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But it's going to be a good time. The Reamer deal in Reamer, Minnesota is a good time every year. Like I say, the conference in October, this should be a good conference.
Okay, and again, tell us the name of that Facebook group so everybody can find it.
It's the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team.
Minnesota Big Team.
Yep.
All right, and before I let you go, I got one question, nothing to do with Bigfoot. I'm just curious. Being up there in Minnesota, what is the coldest temperature you have ever experienced?
54 below zero with no wind chill.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was about 4 years ago. Last winter, we didn't get much snow. There was 2 days that the vehicles wouldn't start, and that was at 41 below zero. So right now, we had 80s the last couple of days. I can't take this heat. It's too hot. I like about we've actually had, I think August is the only month we didn't have snow in Minnesota.
You say 80 degrees was too hot?
Well, I can't take it. It's too hot. I can't stand it.
We would kill down here, man. We hit 100 regularly down here in southeast Tennessee, North Georgia.
No, thank you.
It is miserable. Oh, the humidity is terrible.
I have a garden. I live on a lake kind of out in the middle of nowhere where I grew up. I have a few neighbors. The girlfriend and I did a greenhouse this year because we can't get anything to grow up here. And we had frost on the roof of the cabin, 2 weeks ago. When I got up in the morning, we had frost on the roof. So, I mean, they had, upper 30s here about a week ago. I think today they had got up to almost 80, but right it's about 66, which is real comfortable. That's good sleeping weather.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, bless your heart, buddy. I'm sorry you're having to deal with those 80-degree days up there. I keep you in my prayers, all right?
I'm not a hot weather person. But I grew up my whole life up here, so.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we didn't really get into a lot of the stuff you've experienced. So, Michael, I'd like to have you back, buddy, if you wouldn't mind sometime.
No, I mean, I've got some good experiences, stuff that's happened out in the field. Some interesting stuff.
All right, man. Well, we will stay in touch, obviously, and we'll get you back, buddy. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share with us. It's been a really good show. Good guest. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I was glad to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. You be safe.
All right, you too. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Guys, what y'all think about Michael? I've been excited to get him on for a little while now. I'm glad we finally got it done. Man, could you imagine minus 54 degrees?
Yeah,
What that would feel like?
I've been up there during flatbed season during the wintertime. I know what he's
What's the
talking about.
coldest you ever? What's the coldest you ever been around up there?
It was the last time I was up there. I was up there near the 1998 Olympics area where the U.S. beat Germany, and that was God, that was about 32 below, and it was almost felt like ice road truckers. It was cold.
Yeah. Annette just asked why end the show. Miss Annette, I wish that we could go and go and go. I really do, but we got to be up. We're old. We got to be up early in the morning for work. But yeah, I wish that we could go longer. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. I had a really good guest. Glad that we finally got Michael on. I noticed Duke jumped in late. And that's what I thought about when I saw Duke jump in. Duke's from Minnesota. He's probably experienced some of that weather himself. He said he went camping at minus 22. No, thank you, sir. That night that night, me and you believe we caught the those Bigfoot on thermal, and that was freezing. That was like 12 degrees that night, and I was
Yeah.
miserable.
Yep.
I can't imagine it being 60 something degrees colder than that.
And
All right, buddy, you got anything else for we?
Uh, nah, probably not. Well, I will tell you, I say we did go after the. I'll let everybody know that we did go back to the battlefield again. And I actually we actually was in a spot where the tower was at, and we were hearing. I thought it was first. I thought it might have been firecrackers or fireworks, but the way it was knocking, it was bouncing off the tower, and it was distinctly. I think it was a tree knocks, and it wasn't as simple. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like doom, 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 and it was weird. But yeah, we did got that and got a thing, a pack of coyotes take off and start hollering, and then a minute of seconds later, dead silence. And I was like, wow. I said, I still believe there's one down there. And after that huge knocking, like it was, it is either that or it was cannon fire, the paranormal cannon fire, like I've heard before. But this was extinct, just one after another, bam, 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 bam. It was pretty cool.
This was at the battlefield again.
Yeah, right behind the tower. I mean, it was crazy. It was cool. It was cool, but it was like, where in the world? It was pretty neat. But that, guys, other than that, I hope you guys have a good night and be safe out there. Stay cool because it does get hot a little bit. And if you do get out, be careful. Just be safe out there.
All right, and hopefully your work cooperates and you can be with us Thursday. We got us another guest line, so we will be back in a few days, guys. One of us will be back. Hopefully, both of us will be back.
Yep. Hopefully.
But yeah, guys, everybody out there, y'all be good to each other. Be safe. Take care of each other, guys. We appreciate everything that y'all do for us. But we want everybody to hang around as long as you can, guys. Y'all be safe. Be good to each other, and we'll see you next time.